Coming up, it's the next installment of my faction breakdown, and this time, the Brotherhood will not be denied. Plus, unit mixing. Pitbull spam is like so 2007. And you want to win a game in 3 minutes? I'll show you how to fight dirty. Oh, and is it too late to say Happy New Year? This is Command School. You're watching Command School. I'm Greg Kasavin. If you want to be a better CNC player, you've come to the right place, because I've got the scoop straight from the dev team. Before we offer up our tribute to the Nod Messiah, let's take a look at building a strike force in for noobs only. All three factions' armies are incredibly diverse. They have a unit for every task imaginable. But as a commander, you have limited time in Tiberium, so building a balanced force quickly and efficiently is the key to success. Scorpion tanks are great, but they need to be supplemented if you're going to survive online. Most players make tanks a top priority. They're great base killers, and they can take a beating from basic base defenses, but they're easily countered. Crank out a dozen rocket squads and put them in front of your base and watch the rockets fly. They'll take minimal damage from the tanks and do a great job protecting against aircraft as well. You'll need to prevent them from being squished though, so make sure that you have a few tanks of your own nearby. Or if you're GDI, build some foxholes with your riflemen. Now that you've got your opponent's tanks and aircraft covered with rockets, you just need to throw in some anti-infantry. For Nod, build a few Venoms. They don't need to reload at your base, they detect stealth, and they're a good counter against rocket troops. For GDI, it's a little more expensive, but a sniper team and an APC is a deadly combo against infantry. Finally, as Skrin, just attach buzzers to your tanks. They'll automatically detach and mow through enemy infantry as your tanks advance. Don't forget about the swarm support power either. Use it next to a clump of missile soldiers, you'll tear right through them. In summary, rockets, tanks, and anti-infantry. Get them fast and get them cheap. Plus, they can handle any weaknesses in your enemy's lines. Whatever you do, don't just spam one unit type. Not only is it bad form, but it's easily countered. Once your opponent sees your Scorp spam or Orca rush, he'll just crank out non-stop rocket troops and finish you off. Balance is the key. And now, to balance out our in-depth look at the different factions of CNC3, it's time to check out those Tiberium fiends, the Brotherhood of Nod. Nod's units have the extremely powerful combo of being hard-hitting and fast. The downside is that they tend to end up in pieces a lot easier. After you build your Hand of Nod, it's a good idea to invest in a secret shrine. This building will unlock the powerful Shadow team and give you a support power that calls 2 veteran Shadow squads to any location. Shadow teams are stealthed and can fly, lay waste to enemy infantry, and plant explosives on buildings. But perhaps the most damaging Nod units are those that wield the Flame, the Black Hand and Flame tanks. The Black Hand are the most resilient infantry in the game, while Flame tanks have the best cost-to-damage ratio against structures. Try using the Cloaking Field support power on a group of Flame tanks and sneaking them into your opponent's base. You could destroy his power plants in no time, or maybe just go straight for the Konyard. Oh, and there's also a little unit called the Avatar, which is the single most powerful anti-vehicle unit as of patch 1.09. It's pretty slow, can't attack air, and it has to stand still to fire, but it can do a great job of overrunning an enemy's base or pounding enemy tanks to smithereens. Avatars are uniquely upgradable too. Unlike lasers researched at a tech lab, Nod players upgrade their avatar unit by unit by commandeering technology from other units, blowing them up in the process. Popular commandeering choices include the Flame Tank, which lets the Avatar deal with infantry quite nicely, and the Beam Cannon, which gives the Avatar a second weapon. Try commandeering units that are heavily damaged to gain the most bang for the buck. Nod stealth is a real advantage too. Nod harvesters are stealthed until docked, just one less thing to worry about as you defend your base. The aptly named stealth tanks can also leave an enemy base in shambles almost as well as flame tanks, and they're more versatile to boot. All this stuff gets expensive though. If a Nod player is running low on Tiberium, the Seed Tiberium support power unlocked at the Tiberium chemical plant will create a small green field anywhere on the map. As seen a few episodes ago, we talked about Nod's devastating combo of Seed Tiberium, the Catalyst Missile, the Tiberium Vapor Bomb, and, of course, the Nuke. If these powers won't level a base, nothing will. But be careful, Seed Tiberium and Tiberium Vapor Bomb are air support abilities, meaning the planes delivering the attack can be shot down as they fly in from off-screen. Alright, it's time to get down and dirty. Here's a few strats that can win or lose a match in less than 3 minutes. These gutsy tactics put everything on the line. Try them out at your own risk. First, the classic engineer rush. Engineering an opponent's Konyard will win you the match in no time, but engineers are slow and vulnerable, so you shouldn't just charge them in. With just a power plant, refinery, war factory, and barracks, GDI can build a handful of APCs packed with engineers and charge the enemy's base. But just because they don't have garrisonable vehicles of their own doesn't mean the other factions can't join in on the fun. Nod can tech to airfields and call for transport to protect their saboteurs. As for Skrin, their assimilators gain stealth when they're not moving. Once your assimilators are in, capture away. Nod have another unique infantry rush in the Shadow Team. Power plant, Hand of Nod, Secret Shrine. Then build a Shadow Team, call in 2 more with the support power, and sell the Shrine for an even 4. That's enough to take out a Crane and a Surveyor. If they escape and get stealth again, there's no limit to the amount of damage you can deal. Or if you really want to lay it all on the line, the Skrin can generate 20 Disintegrator squads in under 2 minutes. Build a reactor and 3 portals, then sell your drone platform. This will leave you with enough cash to crank out 20 Disintegrator squads. Protect them against infantry with 4 or 5 buzzers, and charge your enemy. You'll either level his base or be dead in the water, but hey, this isn't about being conservative. The last rush is the boldest of all. Pack up your MCV, drive it on towards your enemy, drop it, and sell it for a free engineer, and grab their crane. It's the fastest way to get an engineer into your opponent's base, but if you fail to grab a crane or a Konyard, you won't have a build queue. Want to get even fancier than that? Let's turn it over to you, the CNC Elite, for this month's Command School Honors. To get your strat featured on Command School Honors, just email it over to commandschool@ea.com and see if you make the grade. As for who Command School is honoring tonight, today's strategy is called the Orca Engineer Rush, submitted by basketball legend Michael Jordan? I'm sorry, wait. Turns out Michael Jordan is just the guy's online ID. Anyway, this strat is best used on a map like Tournament Arena, where your opponent will probably try to expand to a blue field early on. Playing as GDI, use an Orca Rush build order. For instance, Refinery, Power Plant, Command Post, Airfield, and then Barracks. When you get your airfield, queue 3 Orcas right away and use radar scan on your opponent's blue field. Soon you should see him expanding. As soon as you see that expansion begin to deploy, call an Orca Strike to put a stop to it. While that's happening, build 2 engineers and call in the Bloodhound support power. That's right, it's an APC engineer rush, but without the 2,000 plus credit price tag of a war factory and 2 APCs. Have the Orcas take out your enemy's harvesters at his main field. They should take out one and damage another before your Pitbulls and APCs arrive. While the Orcas reload, use the APCs to clear any riflemen for your engineers and deploy the engineers on key structures like Konyards and refineries, selling them off immediately. Use the Pitbulls to take out any remaining harvesters and deploy mines from your APCs at refinery docks in case a harvester survives. If you're up against a Nod player, remember that you can radar scan the Tib field to reveal stealthed harvesters. Taking out a Konyard and all his harvesters this early in the game will almost assuredly force him to surrender, but just in case he doesn't, keep harassing with your Orcas and build a small tank force to clean up the mess. Thank you, MJ, for that great strategy. Who knew you could do an APC engineer rush without a war factory? Brilliant use of support powers and reinforcements, too. Before the final bell rings, we've got one more tip for you from GameReplays.org.
The tip of the week, brought to you by GameReplays.org.
Tonight's tip will help you with your map awareness, which means knowing the map you're playing on. This includes its special buildings, choke points, and Tib fields, but more importantly, it also means keeping an eye on your opponent. One of the most important aspects of map awareness is scouting. First, this lets you get to know the map. Second, it can reveal an incoming attack force, your opponent's undefended secondary base, or a weakness that you can exploit. It's easier to counter an army when you know what units it has. After sending some units into the Fog of War to scout out, make sure you're constantly moving your camera around the map, including around your own base. Along with scouting, you may be able to counter an incoming attack. You may see an incoming army, but then notice a bigger force coming from a different direction. Always be on the lookout for that thing that can turn the tide of battle in your favor. So, what are some of the ways to learn how to do this? Pay attention to your minimap, and when you see the flashing icon, hit the spacebar to jump to that point of interest. But that's just the first step. Constantly move around the map, and set up camera bookmarks for important locations. Control plus JKL or semicolon will let you set a bookmark, and then hitting that same key without control will jump you there. Also, hotkey at the very least your attack groups. Double tapping the number of the group will jump you to its location. And of course, watch replays of the top guys, or anyone who beats you, from their point of view and see how they control their camera. As straightforward as it might sound, it takes a surprising amount of practice and finesse, and helps separate the best players from everyone else. Well, that's all I've got for you for this time. Tune in next month for more tips, tricks, and secrets. Dev tested, player approved, this is Command School. For Command & Conquer TV, I'm Greg Kasavin.